So what is the way back for Labor on this issue? Have they got the time to neutralise it before the election campaign is called? Our program guest this morning is the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Stephen Smith. But first, with the help of the panel, we'll have a look at what the papers are doing. And Mr Schubert, this morning the main story appears to be the death, yet another death of an Australian soldier in Afghanistan. That's 17 now altogether, 6 in the past 4 weeks.
That's right, and it's a big toll. 143 injuries on top of that as well. Very sad story about this particular private, Nathan Buse, who's presented his girlfriend with a ring 3 weeks ago, and we've had some of the really human sort of part of that story told in some of the papers this morning. Julia Gillard's used the opportunity to reaffirm the government's commitment to the mission in Afghanistan, the tightly defined mission which is to train the brigade of the Afghan National Army who are going to be taking over security at some point from international forces in Uruzgan province. But I noticed that on Meet the Press this morning, Scott Morrison seemed to have a slightly broader conception of what the mission might be. So be interesting space to watch, but both sides of politics still committed to that particularly defined mission there.
And yesterday, Julia Gillard at a doorstop interview raised an interesting question and then attempted to answer it. Here she is.
There will be Australians today who are asking themselves, in the face of this loss in Afghanistan, why as a country we continue to pursue our mission there. We pursue that mission because Afghanistan has been a safe haven for terrorists.
And more on that from Stephen Smith shortly. And Gerard Henderson, election speculation. One story this morning suggesting the election could be called any day now, and of course it could be, but it probably won't be.
Well, News Limited papers are running the line that Labor's getting ready to go on the 21st or the 28th of August, but they also say that there will be some polling done, and that makes sense that Labor should do some polling before rushing because they don't need to go that early. Meanwhile, in the Fairfax papers, Michelle Grattan's telling the government to go early, and the Sunday Age editorial is telling the government not to go early. What a terrible dilemma for the Prime Minister to be in. No wonder she sought refuge in her family in Adelaide when you get this kind of conflict in advice. But having said that, I would be inclined not to rush it. There doesn't seem to be any real reason to go in late August, and there are other options in September or even October.
Yeah, it just seems to me that she needs to be just a little more sure-footed too before she goes to an election.
Well, we're seeing again everything that's been done in huge haste with one topic, as was the case towards the end of Kevin Rudd's government. One topic handled, then another topic handled, then long media interviews that don't seem to go very well. And you don't need that kind of almost panic. There's time, and Julia Gillard's only been Prime Minister for just over 2 weeks, so I think she needs more time, but I guess the polling today, the Labor's internal polling, will determine what decision they take.
Yeah, it might. An August 28 election would have been calling it in 2 weeks' time. I really would have thought that an extra week, maybe. There's no reason why they couldn't go early September. I don't know why that date is not up there among the favourites with the bookmakers.
No, that's true, they could, and I think they can also, it's possible that they'll build in a few extra days on the campaign because they didn't manage to change the electoral laws to extend the close of the rolls date. So the rolls close at 8 o'clock on the night that the writs are issued. So what she can do under the law is build in a few extra days and not issue the writs for a few days after she calls the poll, and that gives Labor a chance to get some of those young people with a lot of attention on the election, some of those young people onto the rolls, which at the moment they'll struggle to do if the writs are issued immediately.
And the New South Wales branch of the party, I guess, added to the speculation yesterday. They had a boot camp for marginal members, and the drill sergeant was Bob Hawke.
Indeed, they did. A seasoned campaigner. They got Bob Hawke in to advise some of those candidates. Very interesting. It was a closed-doors affair, but the Sunday Telegraph did an interview with Mr Hawke afterwards, and he said he felt very sorry for Kevin Rudd, and I guess he, of all people, knows a bit how he feels, but that he did have to go. He felt the party was struggling too badly under Kevin Rudd. He listed his achievements, particularly as the apology to the stolen generations and also the global financial crisis. And he talked about Tony Abbott, the opposition leader, as likeable but a disaster. So he's very much talking up Labor's prospects under Julia Gillard. It was quite interesting outside the conference. The Labor candidate for Macquarie, Susan Templeman, complained to Mr Hawke that it was easier for men to campaign because they could just stroll into a pub, and it was much harder for women. And his advice to her was just go out there and get some practice. So I remember Bob Hawke being the one criticised for tripping over cords in shopping malls. I think he had plenty of practice, and maybe that's some good advice for the candidate.
Very sound advice.
Yeah.